Okay, so we're going to take a look at McKenna, and let me find you. There you are. Okay, I have no idea where this match is. It's not relevant, but as we get started, some quick things to think about. Here's a right side passer, right foot back, left side passer, left foot back, right side passer, right foot back. So where I would serve these kids, I'd serve her to her left, her to her right, her to her left, just to get outside their foot, their forward foot, because then they're passing over the top of their hip. Doesn't really work here because this girl's so close to the line. To serve to her left, it would be out, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, here's some things to talk about. You got a late jump, and because you got a late jump, you're probably going to take this ball with your forearms. And we've talked about this before. I'd like to point out that you're not running with your hands up, which is great. You're actually in a power triangle like a sprinter, and you are a phenomenal sprinter, and you understand the value of your arm carriage when you run, so good job there. But because you got a late jump, ball's over here, pass is going to be in here somewhere, you're probably going to take it with your forearms. Well, what happens, and we've talked about this before, we really want you to set with your hands as much as possible. And the reason why is because off of your forearms, the ball takes a longer arc to get outside versus being from your hands up here, it takes a shorter arc to get outside. It's in the air less amount of time, which affects this person's timing. And you have to understand it, McKenna, from my perspective being a hitter, and of course I can't do it anymore, and don't laugh at me, but I'm not sure what you're doing here, hands or forearms. If it's hands, different timing. Forearms, different timing. You want it off your hands as much as possible. And that's when we talk about increasing your range. And again, keeping your hands down in a power triangle to sprint to the ball is a much easier way to increase your range. But let's take a look. And you got it with your forearms. Um, it's not a big deal, but to me, and things that when we talk and we go into the gym to work, little things make the difference. And I'm looking at this from a couple of different perspectives. One is to take this information, go back into the gym, and work on things you need to work on. But ultimately, this is, and this isn't one because you're still very young, but video that coaches are going to look at, I'm going to be a little bit, college coaches are going to be a little bit skeptical about why you didn't take that with your hands. So let me, and I apologize for making this so long-winded, but let me just go through some thoughts. Okay, first is she got a late break. Second is she's not confident with her hands because she's going to her forearms. And the way to set this ball with your hands is, and we've talked about this repeatedly, get to it, set it with your hands, run past her, and do what? That's right, tell her that you're out of her way so she doesn't jump and land on you. Not something I haven't told you before. Okay. This girl over here tipped this. It's not a hard driven ball, and it's certainly soft enough to let this go through to this girl. You're standing at 8 feet, she's standing at 12, but she's on a diagonal from you, so let's call it 4 feet. We've again talked about this repeatedly, letting these weak attacks go through to your back row so you can be the setter. And right now, because you have passed this ball, the options, you're going to have one of these kids be secondary hands, and they're not setters because we talked about the fact you're in a 5-1. So your options, your team's options, are going to decrease. And this ball is right here, and you pass it in this direction, so it's going to land over here somewhere. Well, as soon as secondary hands picks up this pass to set, you're not going to have this option being the middle hitter. You're not going to have you as an option because you're so far into the court right here to transition off to get ready to hit a back 5 is too far. And the final thing is, one of these kids is secondary hands. They're not going to set a back 5 to you. So right now you have one option, okay? Because you have passed this free ball that you should have let her pass, but you passed it to this spot. So it's going to her. All right. Well, we always do this from the other side of the net's perspective, from this middle blocker's perspective. And first and foremost, all three of them are looking at the ball and not the hitters, which is a mistake. But here's what I'm thinking if I'm this girl on the other side, because of where you've passed this. I know you're the setter, and I know that this set eventually is going to go to this girl. So I'm not even going to be standing here anymore. I'm going to be standing over here ready to double block. But more importantly, again, to be redundant, because you pass this ball to this spot, it's not going to go back to you to hit it on the back five. This girl should actually come over too and triple block this girl. And again, it's not that hard to see. It's relatively simple and it's not that complicated, and I'm sure you understand. So let's just see what happens. And secondary hands ended up being this girl. She went to her forearms too, didn't set it with her hands, but that's okay. She's not a setter. This girl didn't become an option. You didn't become an option. And it went to her. And look, this middle blocker over here still standing in the middle of the court, which just doesn't make any sense to me. And this girl's still at the net, but whatever, I'm talking about you, so. And that play just broke down miserably. All you got out of it was a free ball. But who did it start with? It started with you passing the ball. What should have done is pass it straight up, so one of these secondary hands would have an option here and an option out here. Plus, if you passed it straight up, secondary hands comes forward, being one of these three girls in the back row. They could have sent it to you. So there's three options, and those options went away just from where you passed that free ball. So kind of, I don't mean to be nitpicky, but kind of too many mistakes for one play. Middle blocker has a good drive to get outside. Okay. Even though this girl on the other side tipped the ball, let's talk about a few things. I have told you that in matches you carry your hands too close together. Shoulder width apart is what you want, or further. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. Now, this girl tipped it and you brought your hands together, so we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But I'm going to go back and show you what I'm talking about. See how your hands are so close together. Remember, you block with your eyes, not your hands. Your hands and arms are going to be active. This girl actually has a good block. She has good width. And the things that we've discussed, and as you move up as a hitter and get into the elite type situations, you're going to see and realize that hitters do not pass your hands through them. Okay? There are three seams available to me as a hitter. There's one here down the line, there's one here between the two of you, and then the final seam is out here, middle blocker's left hand over. So I'm not going to try to pass your hands when I go up to look to see where to hit it between them. I'm not going to pass between your hands. I'm going to look for seams. So for your hands to be this narrow, all right, what you've done is you've made this seam, and actually this one over here too big. So the other point to make in regards to it is there's several reasons for blocking. One of them is to block the ball, of course. The other is to take away court behind you. So because this girl's arms are so wide, she's taking more court away back here than you are back here. So shoulder and hand carriage, arm carriage when you block is imperative. Now again, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you saw her break down. She's not hitting it. She's actually tipping it or setting it over. But you don't block the ball with both hands. You only block it with one, or you only have to block it with one. Hand posture is critical, okay? A couple other things to talk about. Look at the shape of this girl, but look where this girl's standing. I mean, she's not going to take this set facing that direction and come back to here. Move over. This girl's okay. I suppose she's rolled under from this side. She's too deep, in my opinion. But if this girl here was hitting it, okay, and let me go a little bit further. I'm going to go back one more time, McKenna. Let me do it one more time, sorry. Alright. So, talking about defensive positioning behind you, and you're going to play back here, so you need to understand these things as well. You've got this girl's right hand sealed. She's not going to hit to the line. This girl should not be here. She's in no man's land unless this girl tips it right over the top. But you always have time to cover that distance, taking one step and diving. This girl back here should have stepped into this seam because that's where the hole is. But she's pretty much in alignment with both you and her. So she's out of position. This girl is also out of position because if you see and draw a straight line to this girl, she's in line with her. So this girl should have moved over. This girl should have stepped over this way to cover the seam coming from the middle blocker's left hand over. Alright? And these are things to think about when you play defense, not only indoors but outdoors. And it makes all the difference in the world. You've got to watch what's going on in front of you and see positioning. Not just positioning of hitters, blockers, whatever, but all of this girl in her proximity to where you are and where this girl is. It'll just make you that much better of a defender. Okay, you have a phenomenal jump float serve, and I'm assuming you're going to jump float because I don't see you jump topspin that often. But what are the rules? You want to reach these three people and oh, there's little Mad Dog. You want to reach these three people as best as you can, okay? By serving it closer to them, being closer to them. So when you jump serve, jump into the court and decrease the reaction time that these three have. Now, granted, the rumor is that these rules are going to change. USA Volleyball is supposed to change them, I heard, that you cannot enter the court when serving the ball, but for now you can. And we're going to use the rules to our advantage when they exist. So when you do this jump float, you should end up in the court and contact it closer to these three to decrease their reaction time. Let's see if you do it. And you can see you're barely a foot inside the court. So you serve this from 29 feet at best. The closer you can get to them, and in defense of yourself, there's not a lot of room to run here. And it makes it difficult because this is obviously a tournament and there's three courts going on versus one court going in this direction long ways. So you don't have a lot of space, but you can still be closer to them. And the closer you get to them again, you're going to take away that reaction time. And you served it out. It's funny. So anyway, those are the things that I saw, and I hope it helps.